So yeah, I'm in shock. I'm surprised. Here is the story from Keith Idec boxing scene. Canelo versus Plant trending at 800,000 pay-per-view buys. Just some crude math. It's about $64 million in revenue. Canelo was rumored to be making $40 million. Caleb Plant, $10 million. Also, an interesting tweet right here. By the way, follow me on Twitter. The information is up at the top of the screen and down below in the description box. But here's my Twitter page. But yeah, look at this. For those who now understand, Keith Idec is one of the lead writers for Boxing Scene. Boxing Scene is owned by CBS. CBS is the parent company of Showtime. So basically, you know, these are, it's as credible as it may come. The broadcaster gets nowhere near 50%. You know how people have been saying for years that the broadcasters, you know, put on a pay-per-view, they take half of it. Well, according to Keith Idec, and as I said, very good source, the broadcaster gets nowhere near 50%, usually less than 10%, and Al Heyman renegotiated splits with cable and satellite operators in recent years. They no longer get 50% either. Plus, all digital sales are 100% profit for Showtime and PBC. Now, me personally, I got to be honest. And yes, the gate did 17 million. I don't buy my pay-per-view through Showtime Digital because, for one, unless they fixed it, you can't DVR and you can't rewind. So you got to watch the whole broadcast through. Like, nah, they got to get with the program with that. And then if you miss it, you can't go back and rewatch it. So that's why, obviously, especially with what I do, I like to watch the pay-per-views via buying them through ESPN Plus, which Crawford Porter is going to be exclusively on ESPN Plus, by the way. That keeps more money in-house. Bob Arum on a media call earlier with Terrence Crawford, not even an hour ago, about an hour and a half or so ago. He's thinking that Crawford versus Porter is going to do 500,000, between 500,000 and 1.5 million pay-per-view buys at $69.99. I don't know about that, bro. But anyway, let's go look at some recent pay-per-view numbers here. According to Wikipedia, but basically these are the ballparks of what was reported numbers. So to put things into perspective, the last pay-per-view, now understand, the best way to put it is this. I'm calling them flagship pay-per-views, not exhibitions. Exhibitions, the price of exhibitions like Tyson versus Roy Jones, Mayweather versus Logan Paul, they were $50. But in the last 4 or 5 years or so, give or take, pay-per-views have been about $75. The flagship ones, the main ones, $75 to $80. Depending on if it's something like Mayweather versus Pacquiao, they made that shit $100, right? Or was it Mayweather McGregor? I forgot which one. Anyway, the point is, looking at these numbers, Tank Davis, that's been pretty much what's been reported. He's been doing about 200 or so thousand pay-per-view buys, give or take, at $79.99. Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia, 250,000 pay-per-view buys. The Charlo Derevianchenko doubleheader, Charlo Derevianchenko, and who was it? Who else was it? Charlo Rosario on that? I forgot which one it was. 120,000 pay-per-view buys. Wilder versus Fury 2, which was a significant fight, 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. But the last time it was a genuine 1 million pay-per-view buy fight via one network was Canelo versus Golovkin 2, which did about 1.5 million or so. So overall, for this pay-per-view to do 800,000 pay-per-view buys, you have to think they were, see, you know you're a star in this day and age on pay-per-view where you do so many buys that how many people streaming it doesn't even matter. We don't even know what UFC 268 has done. By the way, I cover and moonlight in mixed martial arts. I need to get back to it starting tomorrow. Hold on. what I'm saying is this was UFC's most stacked card that actually held together for the year. You know, and they had the Trump supporters, the Nigerians, you know, Chandler versus Gaethje started the show. But for Canelo to go head to head with them with a shit undercard, by the way, Anthony Durrell versus Marcos Hernandez, who Durrell is talking about if he don't get Canelo next, he's going to retire. Who else? Ray Vargas versus, I forgot. Listen, I was asleep. I told y'all I didn't really watch Canelo versus Plant actually in full until yesterday morning or something like that. But I did purchase the pay-per-view. I did watch it until I fell asleep. Like, Ray Vargas was in the ring when I fell asleep on Saturday because I was suspended from YouTube. So, you know, I couldn't upload or anything. And I was working on getting my other channel monetized. But by the way, while you're here, follow me over on Twitter at T Street Controversy or T Street Contra, whatever you want to call me. But as I was saying, for Canelo to do $17 million at the gate, 800,000 plus minus pay-per-view buys, that's $64 million in pay-per-view revenue. About, according to Keith Idec here, about 10% or less. I think that's somewhere around what we heard from HBO years back is going to go to the broadcaster, which was Showtime. And then, you know, everybody made money all around. Now, even though it's not like for this day and age, I'm sorry, I know I'm clamoring a little bit over it, but for a fighter to be able to do 800,000 pay-per-view buys in boxing, that's some big shit, especially against a Caleb Plant. Now, to me, you know what that spells to me? That spells doom for the zone. And I already told you the zone is on my shit list anyway. Because why would Canelo go back to the zone if he fought Caleb Plant and got 800,000 pay-per-view buys? Now, granted, it was for Undisputed. You know, I really don't know because we really haven't really had it, but like an American white boy in pay-per-view. You know, you think more people purchase the pay-per-view because, you know, like, oh, we got a, you know, white dude, you know? Because I don't think Caleb Plant, you know, really, I think it's Canelo, Undisputed, and the push and the shove, you know, at the press conference. Now, I don't really know, like when people buy pay-per-views, you know, unless you don't have cable, I don't never hear people talking about they purchase the pay-per-view through Showtime. Like, how did you guys buy the pay-per-view, if you degenerates even did buy the pay-per-view? Did you buy it through the Showtime app? Or did you buy it through, like, pick up your remote, order it? I like doing it that way because I buy so many pay-per-views that, you know, I like to see that shit on my bill and not coming immediately off my card, okay? You see what I'm saying? And as I said, I'm not really a fan of the Showtime platform because you can't rewind, DVR it, you can't watch it once it's over. Or at least that was my experience when I purchased the Charlo doubleheader on pay-per-view. You bought it through the Showtime app or actually through your cable provider. Well, anyway, Canelo's saying he's not coming back until May. The question is, who is he going to fight in May? And just in a couple of moments here, the weigh-in for David Benavidez, who we're talking about in this video, taking on Kyrone Davis, and his brother Jose Benavídez returning after a 37-month, 3-year layoff. So yeah, let me open this up real quick because the question is, who is Canelo going to fight next? Canelo saying he wants Charlo, but Mexican Independence Day weekend. No, wait, that's not until September, right? Lord, I'm half black, half Irish, half full-blooded male Chicano, and I don't even know this. Well, anyway, Cinco de Mayo, Canelo's supposed to return, not, you know, Canelo likes to fight on both of the holidays. See how I cleaned that up right there? So you would think that it would make sense for him to fight a Mexican fighter on Cinco de Mayo. But when you think what the numbers he's pulling against Caleb Plant, he can fight whoever he wants and it's going to sell. So let me go back. What was the pay-per-view buys for Canelo versus Chavez Jr.? And a lot of that sold off of Chavez's name up the weigh-ins about to start. By the way, tomorrow is actually going to be my first full day of boxing coverage in about a month and a half or so. So I'm really feeling really, really good and getting used to the fact that this is the first, let me tell you something. This is the first time in about 5 years where I've actually had time to devote to boxing. Like I have literally nothing to do. My child custody issues are resolved, legal issues resolved. I'm healthy. I'm a little under the weather now. Allergy season. And I'm still sleeping with the air conditioner on, so it'll be clogging me up. But I've got a lot going on. Yeah, the Canelo Chavez pay-per-view did about 1 million around that, right? So I'm thinking Benavidez can do somewhere around that. Put it this way, Canelo versus Benavidez, I wouldn't... See, here's the thing. We don't... 800,000 is good, but can Canelo keep it up? You know, and there's a lot of pay-per-views going on. I don't know. I'm thinking Canelo versus Benavidez can do at least that, right? And you have to look at all these guys now, even guys like Benavidez thinking like, oh shit, he can do that with Caleb Plant. I want to end on that too. Canelo is the one. He is the cash cow of this generation. He's it. So what reason would he really have to go back to the zone, you know, unless they're giving him some super crazy, like guaranteed 50 million? That's the only way they can get him back, right? What reason would he have to go back to the zone? You know, this was a good test to see like, okay, where is pay-per-view at? And what better guy to do it with than Canelo? And he's shown like, nah, pay-per-view's still alive. It's still alive. That shit's still alive. Canelo's the man. But you have to also question, was it because of Undisputed? Was it because, you know, I'm trying to look at it from all sides. We're not bringing race into it in a negative way. I'm trying to look at it like, you know, does the Mexican versus the white man sell? You see what I'm saying? Like, you know how they don't like to put, you know, black fighters against Mexican fighters against Mexican fighters. I'm thinking like what have we actually seen on pay-per-view in boxing? A Mexican versus a white man. So what's the numbers there? I'm interested in the stats. But undefeated, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. An undefeated hip white man, that's Caleb Plant. You see what I'm saying? I could have sworn Caleb Plant was black. But anyway, we're waiting for the weigh-in. It's right here. They're going to be starting soon. And it's a damn shame because you got to think it must bother him a little bit. This is a guy, David Benavidez, who lost his belt twice outside of the ring. One for nose clams, cocaine, the party drug. I didn't know people still did that shit. And also, who else? I mean, what else? Losing his belt on the scales in the bubble. Because apparently he wasn't, you know, he didn't have the same amenities to lose weight. But to be honest, though, you want to know what? My personal opinion, I want Canelo versus Charlo next. I'm on the fence. I think, but however, I think that Benavidez would be a better fight because Benavidez is not going to try to outbox him. Benavidez is going to try to use his weight and walk down Canelo, not throw them pity-pat bullshit arm punches like Caleb Plant. I knew he was done from round one. I knew he was done. I was like, he ain't coming out here to try to hurt Canelo. He's trying to come out here to try to box Canelo. Like, bro, that's just like somebody coming out to try to box Floyd. Look what Maidana did. Like, you gotta go out there and try to fuck Floyd up, punch him in his neck, punch him in his arms, all that type of shit. You know, hit it. You gotta beat Floyd up. You can't go out there and try to box him. So once I saw Caleb Plant with his little tassels on his on his shorts, I'm thinking like, we're gonna be in. And then he started slowing down in rounds, what, 7, 8? And I was like, it's over. The end is near. The end is near. Do I think Benavidez stops Davis? Let's go look at Davis's resume. I've seen him fight before, but I've told you many times my memory is shit. But it would be a good statement if he does stop him, because Davis up there about to start. Because Davis has never, here, where's it at? Go this one. Davis has never been stopped. You see what I'm saying? 16-2-1 with 6 KOs, late step in. He fought Anthony Durrell to a draw. I don't remember. Did I cover this fight? I had to. I'm sure I covered it. He fought Patrick Day, rest in peace. Nothing really there that sticks out. But anyway, let's watch the weigh-in. By the way, Canelo versus Plant replay is going to... Oh, they got the bullshit music. The Canelo versus Plant replay is going to be before this. So it's actually a 2-fight card, but with Canelo versus Plant replay opening up the card. So it's going to be Canelo versus Plant, Jose Benavidez versus, I forgot the guy's name, Francisco Torres, the Argentine. And then, of course, the main event, David Benavidez versus Kyrone Davis. And I believe that the all-access epilogue comes on after. Look at Sampson. He cut the ponytail and the beard. I want to talk to Sampson. Want me to the moon with that bitch Jonas Crampton. It's hard being black gifted. I want to get lifted. Y'all don't know that, do you? It's too...
75 pounds. He is undefeated in his campaign of the basketball courts. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the official mascot for the Phoenix Suns. Here is Go the Gorilla. All right, fans, here we go. We're ready to bring out our fighters for our opening attraction live on Showtime tomorrow night. It's the co-main event.
Bro, we can't listen to that music. And what the hell is up with this gorilla? Yeah, that music will get us copyrighted.
20 pounds, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Emanuel Torres.
I'm all for the Hispanic trap music, but that gorilla looks like shit. Is that the real Phoenix Sun mascot? Why is suit all baggy? This is the guy right here that Jose Benavídez is fighting. Jose Benavidez's last fight was actually 3 years ago when he fought Terrence Crawford. He's coming off of a 37-month layoff. This guy used to wreak havoc, meaning Jose Benavidez in gyms, you know, years back. He's only 28 years old. And he'll talk some crazy shit too. He'll talk some shit to you. And he's got those evil dark circles around his eyes. He'll fuck you up, man. Yeah, we can't do that. We can't do that music. I'll turn it up when they get on the scale, though. Yeah, Jose Benavidez don't fuck around. He got shot several years back. Like, it's almost like it was an intentional shooting. Like, they shot him to fuck with his boxing career. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but he got shot in his hand and his knee.
157.5 pounds, 157.5 pounds for Emanuel Torres. And his opponent to the scale at this time, making his anticipated return to the ring, the former world title challenger, merciless Jose Benavídez Jr. 158.75 pounds, 158.75 pounds for Jose Benavídez Jr.
Yeah, that dude, where would he pull this Argentine from? Don't he look like a first thing I thought when I saw him at the press conference is like, yo, he looked like a fucking Grubhub driver. Come on, man, this trash ass gorilla. That's not the real Phoenix Sun. Bro, that ain't their mascot. That ain't the real one. He don't look that bad, do he? Get that dude out of here. Bro, that ain't their real mascot. Come on now. Look, he talking crazy shit to him again. Psycho Benavidez. Psycho Benavidez. Yeah, I figured. I've seen the Suns mascot before. See, they should have left that bootleg shit home. Trash ass mascot. I don't know why I'm so triggered by that. Like, this is a Showtime event. You just did 800,000 buys last week, Showtime. Y'all need to get the real mascot. Ain't like he doing nothing. The games don't start for another, what, 3-4 hours? Make me sick. Yeah, we got to mute it because the music, it's copywritten, so I don't want to get my ass shut down. All right, main event time.
All right, fans, here we go. We're going to...
But anyway, I'm digging this card mostly because I'm a Benavidez guy, okay? All right? All right.
Motions and Showtime. At this time, please welcome our fighters as they make their way to the to the stage for the official weigh-in for our main event, super middleweights. First, from Wilmington, Delaware, with 16 wins in 19 bouts, please welcome Kyrone, Shut It Down, Davis.
Gotta mute that right there. Yeah, just like that robot Jake Paul have. I do not like that fucking robot. I can't stand that dude. I'm all for technology, but I don't like no synths, man, or no fucking androids. I don't like, when they try to be human and shit. Like, I'm definitely a bigot towards, like, artificial intelligence robots. Like, them robots that go around on the floor, sweep your floor? I don't like them. I don't like them. Yeah, I'm gonna be busy tomorrow. You know what? Also, a card I'm looking forward to, that Barry Galahad versus Kiko Martinez. Every time I see Barry fight, I always think about how he was in the back of Billy Joe Saunders' Bentley or Rolls Royce, and he was trying to solicit a hooker, a crack hooker, for crack sex. That's not a joke. I'm not even bullshitting. He was like, what did she say? Billy Joe Saunders was offering her some crack. And Barry was in the back, was like, she got to do a little bit more than that. Like, crazy story. I'm like, bro, go get you some pussy.
All right, fans, here we go. Let's bring our fighters to the scale at this time for this 10-round main event in the super middleweight division. First, please welcome, with a record of 16-2-1 with 6 knockouts, he is the battle-tested and battle-ready contender, introducing Kyrone, Shut It Down, Davis. 167 3/4 pounds, 167 3/4 pounds for Kyrone, Shut It Down, Davis. And now his opponent to the scale, the hard-hitting, undefeated WBC #1 ranked contender, the former 2-time super middleweight champion of the world, El Bandera Roja, David Benavidez. 169 pounds for David Benavidez, 169.
Also, they should bring back the interviews. Sometimes, like for a fight like this, I think you should have like the interviews, bro, like after the weigh-ins. Clown phobia. I don't think anybody likes clowns. You know what really made me not like clowns? When I was a kid, I watched the movie It. Like, that shit fucked me up for like a few years, bro. I was like, what, like 9, 8 or 9, some shit like that. I didn't sleep with the light off for like 2 years. I thought that clown was gonna come get me. Yeah, I don't like no clowns. And I told you, I don't like no robots. And I don't like that fucking cheap-ass fucking monkey on the stage. Come on, Showtime. They just did 800,000 pay-per-view buys last week. And they got this monkey on the stage chewing up all the fucking scenery. Look, that bullshit ass. Oh, no. Why did they do this? Let me stop. I know I'm complaining about stuff that shouldn't even matter, man. Well, anyway, we got another weigh-in coming up for Benavidez and Rosado. fucking Benavidez, Rosado. Munguia and Rosado. That's also going to be on the zone competing with this card. So tomorrow you got 3 nice boxing cards on the zone midday here in the States. Kiko Martinez and Barry Galahad, as we talked about, with Terry Harper versus Alicia Baumgartner, and CBS is on that joint too. Then at night, of course, you got this card, and also on the zone, you got Jaime Munguia versus Gabriel Rosado. That's it. That's it for that. So yeah, let me see what time this other weigh-in comes on real quick. But as I said, if you don't know, David Benavidez, unfortunately, because Jose Uzcátegui popped dirty for EPO, and from my understanding, you got to take a syringe, right, to get the EPO up in you. You got to take a needle. So I think Jose Uzcátegui done. So basically, Benavidez versus Uzcátegui was a double eliminator. The winner was going to be the WBC and IBF mandatory for Canelo. So now Canelo doesn't have a mandatory because I'm guessing they're waiting for Benavidez's, Uzcátegui's B sample to come back, you know, and then I'm guessing they'll order somebody else to fight Benavidez or just make Benavidez the outright mandatory. I don't know how that's going to work, but that's a damn shame right there. And remember, Benavidez lost his belts. He lost his belts, one from cocaine, basically both times outside of the ring. He waited at 169. Well, I mean, since it's a late replacement, that's probably the weight. They probably said, you know what, don't hurt yourself. Like that happens sometimes. They're like, you know what, don't hurt yourself with the weight, you know. But if he was fighting Uzcátegui, then it probably would have been 168. So they probably signed for an extra pound like last minute, especially since he was coming in late. So let me see here. See what time that next weigh-in comes on. But yeah, shout out to Canelo though. 800,000 pay-per-view buys, $64 million in revenue. And then an additional $17 million at the gate. And that 800,000 pay-per-view buys, that's just, where was the fight broadcast over in the UK? Was it on BT Sport pay-per-view too? Was it free over in the UK? Where was that fight broadcast? You know what? They would do some shit like Benavidez versus Plant for the mandatory. Let's hope not. I don't want to see Plant no more. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get out of here, and I'm going to be back in about 20 minutes or so, and we're going to do, yes, Canelo was the face of boxing, by far. You know, Tyson Fury can't sell 800,000 pay-per-view buys over here. I doubt that Tyson Fury can do. See, it's different with the UK because their prices are so different. But let me get up out of here. We're going to be back in about 20 minutes or so for the Jaime Munguia versus Gabriel Rosado weigh-in.